Good morning, class. How is everyone today? I know this is a different arrangement than we normally do, and I apologize for that. I will not be able to be live with you in class today, so I have opted to record this session for you all. And I hope that what we are discussing today will be able to be communicated in a way that is just as effective if I were live. First of all, we are skipping chapter 6. We finished up chapter 5 and we did our testing already on that. You guys scored very, very well. I'm very proud of everyone's work. But I am skipping chapter 6. I just didn't really feel comfortable with the topic and maybe kind of the phraseology. You are more than welcome to read it and study it on your own. If you have any questions, I would do my best to field those for you. But I decided to go ahead and skip it as far as the teaching lesson. And we are moving on to chapter 7 today, chapter 7. And I actually changed one word in the title rather, because I feel like I don't know, I feel like it wasn't necessarily, it was too strong of a word maybe, or too, I just didn't care for the words that they used. So instead of the current title, I've changed it to Transforming Trial, not Irritation, into Spiritual Development. Now, this is a very impactful topic. This has tremendous bearing on your personal life, on your relationship, on your family life, and most importantly, in regards to Bible school, your spiritual life, your ministry life, okay? So great topic. There is tons here. I could take this lesson on its own for a very deep dive, but I'm going to try to keep it as confined as I can today. All right, so everyday problems or life, those little irritations, those little things that we all experience, we all go through. It can be you woke up too late, your alarm didn't go off, something happened with your clothes and you're having to change your whole outfit on the way to work. There's some kind of traffic jam and it's a commute issue, or you're dealing with people at work or at school that you're frustrated with or you don't get along well with. And all of those everyday life, it's just life, those problems are God's opportunity for us to change and strengthen our Christian character. I know it's frustrating. I know they're troublesome, but it is also an opportunity for God to work on those little things about you that He needs worked out in a way that would increase your Christian character. So we should always be able to identify and transform our frustration into spiritual motivation. It's not always possible, but it can be possible. For instance, in regards to the reference about traffic jams, I know it's very frustrating to be stuck in traffic. And if you're in Manila, you guys know very well, very, very well what I'm talking about. Traffic is frustrating. It is irritating. It is a nuisance. It is a trouble and a trial that you have to deal with on a daily basis, either getting to and from class for those of you day students that are commuters, or even those in-person students that have to deal with it when you're running errands for the school. Like, it is just one of those things that you have to learn how to deal with. And we get frustrated in those situations when we feel like we are being delayed or that something is taking longer than it should. But how often do we consider that perhaps our delaying is God's protecting hand, keeping us from harm, from danger, from a potential accident? So it gives you an idea, or an opportunity rather, for perspective, that even though this is frustrating, even though this is causing, perhaps some kind of delay on my part, or, someone may find that I'm being irresponsible because I can't be on time, maybe God is using it as an opportunity for chance to protect you. Okay? So instead of asking God to deliver us from those things, which would be great. Hey, Lord, could you just translate me from the middle of this traffic jam and dump me wherever I need to be? Instead of asking God to just take us out of it, like we don't want to go through this, we don't want to deal with this. Lord, why don't you teach me? There's something here that maybe I need to learn about you. Maybe I need to learn this about myself. Or maybe there's a Christian principle, or who knows, maybe the Lord is even trying to work out a sermon for you based on that particular frustration, not necessarily traffic, but anything that you're going through that seems to be a nuisance or troublesome. So we don't always need to pray, Lord, just deliver me, just take me out of this. No, we need to learn how to pray. Lord, teach me, show me, what am I missing? Help me to slow down and to recognize you in this process. So how we respond to frustration is critical. It is imperative that you always respond with Christian character, Christian attributes. Now, the way you respond, it can make or break you. It can make or break your relationships. It can make or break your future, your family, your ministry, your reputation, expectations that others have on you, and even your potential. The way that you respond is noticed and recognized around those that are around you, people that you have influence over, whether you recognize that you have influence or not. That is something that is especially hard, I feel like, for young people to understand, because they recognize when they get to a certain age that, oh, I look up to this brother in the church or this sister in the church, but they fail to realize that those coming up under them, the younger generation, they are looking at you. You're the example that they are learning how to act and behave from. So when you respond to frustration, irritation, significant trials, or maybe minor inconveniences, when you react to those or respond to those in a way that shows that you lack patience, you lack tolerance, you're not a very loving person, you don't have long suffering, all the fruits of the Spirit, do any of those sound familiar? They're going to recognize that, and while they may not intend in their mind specifically, oh, I want to be just like them, you're going to notice that their character, the way they behave and the way they act is similar to you. It's especially true with children and their parents. If they see mom and dad doing something, those kids are going to do the same thing that mom and dad does, because that is their first example on how to behave and how to act. So your Christian character and how you respond is absolutely critical to your success, number one in ministry, but in life in general. All right. Now, there are three major sources of irritation. Number one, people. That's really all we need to say, right? I mean, if you talk about the things that irritate you in life, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be some person, someone that just really gets on your nerves. But as students in Bible school, as those pursuing a ministry, look, you are in the people business, okay? Our business is people. It is our responsibility, our job, our burden, our calling. People, that is where it's at. We are in the people business. So it makes sense that there's going to be some people that you come in contact with that you're not going to get along with. They're going to be difficult to deal with. They're going to be frustrating. Their personality is going to clash with yours. Their attitudes, their opinions, maybe their work ethic. Maybe you are frustrated by someone that you work with in the ministry that seems to be a little lazy. That's irritating. That's frustrating. That is a real challenge that we have to be able to learn how to navigate through. So one of the major sources of our irritation can be people. And again, like I said, in the people business, about 9 times out of 10, it is going to be people that you are going to have to learn how to manage. Now, we did have discussion about temperaments and how different temperaments, how we are, how we react, how we behave, our natural tendencies. Well, you have to reciprocate that in when I'm dealing with someone, if I can recognize what temperament he or she has, then I can understand how better to communicate with them, or how better to understand how they are communicating with me. For instance, if a melancholy person who seems to be very emotional, very flighty, you're working with them and you don't understand why they can't seem to focus, they get caught up in all of the emotion of whatever the project is or the circumstance, and it's really frustrating because you feel like you can't just lock them in to focusing and let's get this done. You have to realize that part of that, their emotion and the different things that they're feeling or experiencing, are all related to their desire to want to be successful and to want to be able to complete whatever it is y'all are working on in a way that is beneficial to the kingdom. So while it can be frustrating to someone whose mind doesn't think that way, you have to understand and appreciate that this is part of what they're bringing to the table that is actually beneficial to that project, to that ministry, to that service, whatever it is that you're doing. So we can't discount it, but we do need to recognize it and learn how to deal with it. Okay, this isn't how I would do it, but the way she's doing, it's not wrong, it's just not my way. So we can appreciate what she's bringing and learn how to operate and to work with her so that we have a positive experience, positive outcome. All right, the second major source of irritation is our environment. Wow, okay, this is a big one. Are you in lack financially? Maybe resources, building, people. Is there a lack or is there a surplus? Maybe you have too much. Maybe you have too many volunteers. Wouldn't that be nice for that to be a real problem? Maybe you don't have enough volunteers for a particular project or whatever. That can be incredibly frustrating. Or maybe you don't have a space that is convenient or that meets the needs of the people. That your environment very much can be an irritation. If you're trying to cram 50 people in a tiny small space, well, it's going to be uncomfortable. People are going to be hot. They may wonder, like, do I even need to be here? This is too much. And so that can be a major irritation. It could cause, potential harm for that person's salvation. I don't want to go to church where I feel like I don't fit physically. And maybe even emotionally, but physically. And for some, it could be a hardship for them. So we have to learn how to manage our environment. If we are able to change it, to fix it, maybe we need to rent a different space, borrow a different space, look for new opportunities, then we need to do that. Stress, your own personal stress, family life, relationship life, things like that. All of that creates an environment that can make, just everyday life more frustrating, more irritable for you. Maybe you're scheduling, maybe you're overscheduled, you're overworked. You guys are Bible school students. Some of you work a part-time job or a full-time job. Some of you are help with ministry at your home church. Some of you are working on your own ministries. You're teaching Bible studies. You guys are, and which are all wonderful, wonderful things. These are all things that are necessary and needed. I'm not telling you to eliminate any of those, but sometimes we can get so busy with the scheduling of, I need to be doing these things for God, that we are creating an environment for our minds and our bodies to be irritable, frustrated, and it's harder for us to be positive, to be successful, and to be effective. Ultimately, we want to be effective no matter what we're doing, no matter what the project, the service, or the ministry. All right, the last major source of irritation is self. Okay, so if 9 times out of 10, people are a major irritation, there is one person out of that 10 that can also be a major source of irritation, and that is you. You can be the best or the worst enemy, rather, of your own self, because you get into your mind. You start thinking, I'm not capable, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough education, I don't have enough experience, I don't have enough resources. And so you allow your personal weaknesses, or maybe even your personal health, your own limitations and things that you feel like are a detriment to the kingdom, and you get so wrapped up in those and so caught up in those that you allow yourself to fall victim to, like a victim mentality, which we did discuss, I believe, the last class. So you have to make sure that you keep yourself, number one, you got to be prayerful, and you have to consider what God is calling you to. Keep the calling first, all right, and do what you can to maintain that, and always giving space for grace, even for yourself, and also space for, God to be able to make up the difference. All right, so 3 major sources of irritation. We've got people, which is everybody you're working with right now, your environment, and self. Now, there are 2 classifications. There's 2 different kinds of irritation. So we know what the sources are, but what kind of irritations are there? There are resolvable. These are things that you can fix. I can control this. I have the power over this. For instance, if one of the major irritations that you have is that you're struggling with maybe being on time for something, and traffic is one of those irritations, and you know that if I don't leave by a certain time in the morning, I'm going to have this major delay when we get to this certain point in traffic. Okay, this is something you can fix. Maybe not every day. Thank you, Manila traffic. But for the most part, we set our clock back just a little bit further. We get up 30 minutes earlier. We make sure that we've taken care of all of our hygiene needs. We are dressed properly. We've had a chance to get some kind of breakfast in us, and we start our day 30 minutes early. That is something you absolutely have control over. You can make the difference in that. Now, irresolvable things, these are things that we really don't have control over. The weather, right? When it's rainy season in Manila, how many of you have the opportunity to tell the rain, please stop, I have to get to class. Please stop, I'm on my way to Bible study, right? None of us have that ability, right? So you can't control those things, but you have to be able to learn to work through that frustration, that nuisance. Okay, I can't get across town to teach my Bible study. Maybe I can FaceTime. Maybe I can create a Zoom meeting. You have to learn to find a way to work around those things that are frustrating, even when you don't have direct power or control over them. These will allow a unique opportunity for you to be creative, right? Find a way to work around those things, and this will inspire growth and change, not only in you personally, but also in your own ministry and spiritual life. Now, there is a counterpoint to this. Sometimes there are things that we can't solve, we can't fix. That's not just the weather. And we wonder, why is this something that I have to deal with? Why is this something that I have to struggle with? This doesn't make sense to me. Well, God can use these irritations, these frustrations, these trials to change a defect or weakness in our character, something that might be hindering us from being who God called us to be. Some of our uniquenesses, we did discuss this in chapter 1, these are used to our benefit. These are things that make us so unique that we are able to connect on a level with others that no one else can. And that's awesome. But then there's some of the things that are maybe a defect or a weakness in us that God's saying, you know what, we need to work that out. You have a little problem with patience. So we're going to take some time and we're going to work that out. We're going to resolve that. We're going to make sure that you learn how to be long-suffering. We're going to learn how to make sure that you're able to deal with a long-time illness or a long-time frustration, a long-time financial hardship, and it is increasing your Christian character. It is building you. It is molding you. It is shaping you. Is it fun? No, it is not fun. But it is necessary because it will help you be a better minister and it will help you better serve those around you. Now, if you're trying to avoid these things, all right, you're like, well, I don't want to learn patience. I know what's involved with learning patience. I have no desire. I don't want to learn that. You're going to find yourself in a never-ending cycle, a never-ending loop. You're going to go round and round and round of repeating the same lessons over and over and over. You're going to go through the same struggles over and over and over. And you're thinking, what is wrong with me? Why do I seem to always be struggling with this? Instead of asking God, please deliver me out of this, I can't take anymore. Say, God, I feel like you're trying to show me something. I feel like there's something I should be learning. Can you help me understand? I want to learn. I want to change. I want to grow. Don't ask God to deliver you from something without asking God to teach you. Show me, God, what is it I'm missing? What is it I'm not seeing through my spiritual eyes or through my earthly eyes? Maybe I'm just not looking through the lens that you're trying to work through me, the things that you're trying to work through me or out of me. You know, maybe there's something God needs to work out of you. So maybe that trial or struggle or that thing that you're really struggling with seems permanent. Maybe it's a personal something wrong with your body. Maybe you have a bad back or you have trouble walking long distances. I don't know. You know, I'm not sure what it might be, but maybe there's a physical reason that you feel like, man, I'm just struggling with this. This is an everyday occurrence. This is something permanent. Well, maybe God is using that as an opportunity to make you special in such a way, number one, that you can connect with others, but it may have a specific purpose or benefit to you. You know, Paul talked about the thorn in the flesh, that thing that just kept digging at him, that thing that just kept eating at him. Maybe there's something that is a permanent thing in your life that God is using as a way that he can specifically rely on you to be a benefit to his kingdom. Let's not discount it, okay? Again, God, don't deliver me from this. God, teach me, teach me, teach me. All right? So let's talk about how not to respond in trials, okay? If you are blaming others for every little thing that comes your way that is frustrating, that is challenging, you are in a victim mindset. Y'all, it is not everybody else. Sometimes it is you. It's you. Maybe, you're not doing the things that you should be doing. You're not being faithful to the things of God like you should be. And so when a trial comes your way, instead of running closer to the Lord or becoming closer to him or engaging more in prayer or more in study, you find yourself pulling back and drawing away and like, well, I'm not really doing that great anyway, so I'm just going to kind of lay low a little bit. That is not how you respond to trial and frustration. The Bible tells us to lay aside every weight and sin, cast our cares upon him, right? If it's bothering you, it's bothering him. So we don't respond to trials by blaming others or casting that blame on someone else. Excuse me. Our notes say we shouldn't hold in our anger. Y'all, anger is a very powerful emotion. It is very real. And it is unique in the fact that it creates bitterness. And bitterness is like a cancer inside your body. And the more you suppress that anger and try to bury it deep down, like, I'm not going to show it, I'm not going to show it, I'm going to keep it in, I'm not going to bother anybody with this. The more you do that, the bigger and bigger and bigger it grows. And then it's not only affecting maybe that one irritable thing in your life or that one frustration, but you'll notice it starts affecting everything. That cancer starts to spread to your family, to your other relationships, to your walk with the Lord. Anger is a very powerful emotion, and it's not a sinful emotion, okay? Anger is not a sin, but how we respond to anger and how we manage our anger, that is very critical. We have to learn to release that, to let it go, to give some things to the Lord, to ask forgiveness, to give forgiveness. Whatever it may be, you can't let such a strong and powerful emotion control you in such a way that it keeps you from doing what God has called you to do in the purity that he has called you to do it in. It can't be affected by that. All right, so how should we respond If that's what I'm not supposed to do, what should I do? Well, why don't you try giving thanks? I'm sorry, Ma'am Amber. That's really hard for me to do because I'm irritated. I don't feel very thankful right now. I feel frustrated. Well, if we can learn to trust and know and have the confidence in God that no matter what we're going through, no matter what we're feeling, that He truly wants what is best for you, what is best for me, then we can give thanks to Him even in the struggles and the hard times because, Lord, you're teaching me something. I don't like this. I don't enjoy this, but I know that it's for my good, and I trust you in all things, and I'm asking you to help me learn whatever it is I need to learn so that I can come through this and be more effective for your kingdom. And maybe we need to consider the cause. Why is this happening? Why am I going through this? Maybe it's something that you brought on yourself. You mean I could be at fault for these little irritations and frustrations in my life? Me? Well, it's possible. I know one thing, if you're not paying your tithe and offering correctly, the Bible says that He will not hold back the devourer from you. You wonder why you're always struggling with financial issues and why you never seem to have enough. And it's always like, man, if I just had enough money to do this or to that or whatever. Are you paying your tithes? Are you paying them correctly? Are you not sure? You better talk to your pastor. Okay, this seems like elementary type information, but it is critical. How you pay your tithe and offering is vital to, that environmental irritation that we talked about. Well, I truly believe that tithing is such an important part of our Christian walk with God that if we don't do it and we don't do it correctly, that God is not necessarily going to stay or keep those things out of our lives. Why? Because everything that the Lord does, it seems hard to understand this, but everything that the Lord does is to draw you closer to Him. Even when it hurts and even when it's frustrating, everything that He's doing is a way for Him to draw you closer to Him. Well, if I can make them frustrated, they're going to turn to prayer. If I can make their finances be tight or thin, they're going to have to rely on me for the faith to provide for their needs or the things that they need to take care of. So even though it may seem frustrating or irritating or, like, why would God allow this? I'm telling you, everything that He does, y'all, He loves us so much that everything He's doing is drawing you closer and closer to Him. That's all He wants. He just wants us to be close to Him. So when we are in accord and when we are in line with the things of God and doing the things of God, you will see favor, you will see blessing, you will see all those things. The miracles, it's just going to come. It's just going to happen. That's just how cool God is. All right, so God's ultimate purpose. Why would God allow frustration? Hey, I am Holy Ghost filled. I love Jesus. I love everything about the Lord. I pay my tithes. I do all these things. So why would God allow me to go through stuff? Why would God allow me to struggle with these things? Well, our Christian walk and development should be like leading us to becoming more and more like Him. We should be developing and practicing, not just learning about Him, but practicing the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians 5:22, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. Any one of those things, if you're struggling with any one of those, hey, number one, it's okay. We all struggle with stuff. Some of us, it's harder than others. I get it, okay? But it's important for us, if we're going to call ourselves Christians, if we're going to be Holy Ghost filled, that those particular characteristics are not only known in our minds, but we can see them in our daily walk. People need to see that when you're walking around, you're the walking example of Jesus, and Jesus displayed all of those. He was love, He was joy, He was peace. So my responsibility is to learn about them, to develop them, and then to actually execute on them. I need to be practicing them. I need to be showing them. People need to recognize the Jesus in me. When we're walking around and people are checking us out and looking at us and paying attention to how we respond to things, what they are doing is they are seeing the Jesus inside of you. And ultimately, our goal as ministry is to draw everyone around us, including those that are saved already, closer to Jesus. My family, it's my responsibility that everything I do, everything I say, is something that will draw them closer to Jesus. My friends, I'm trying to get them closer to Jesus. My students, I'm trying to get you closer to Jesus. That is my priority as a minister's wife, as somebody who is Holy Ghost filled, as somebody who has been asked to teach at this Bible school. I just want you guys to get closer to Jesus. Get as close as you can. Just when you think, oh, I'm close enough, you're not. There's so much more for you to learn and for you to experience in Christ. He is much, much bigger than we can even fathom, than we can even imagine. I just want to be as close to him as I possibly can. So anytime that you are praying, preaching, mentoring, counseling, any kind of ministry that you are doing in any way should be your opportunity to lead others closer to Jesus until they are able to follow him on their own. And even then, your talk, your walk, the way you're responding to things should always be an opportunity that others can see, hey, she's close to him. I need to be close to him. Okay? It's our responsibility to keep pointing others to Christ. So our witness or example, it's not just how we worship at church or how we behave on Sundays. I mean, those are great. We should be involved. We should be active. We should be ministering in our local churches or wherever it is you're attending on the weekends. But the way you live and behave in your day-to-day life, your Monday through Saturday life, is just as important and just as critical as the way you behave on Sunday. Your friends at Bible school, they're watching you. They're paying attention to you. They see what you're doing and they hear what you're saying. Now, they may not say anything. They may laugh at some of the jokes you're telling, but they are all making note of your behavior. And it's not so much that we're judging each other, but we're saying, hey, you know what? There's something about him. He's closer to Jesus than I am. And I want to be that close too. And you're going to see that that person is drawn to you, not even necessarily you, but the Jesus inside of you. So even your fellow student, the guy or the girl sitting next to you right now in class, the guy or the girl that you're looking at on the screen that seems to be taking notes or maybe staring off into space, they're paying attention and they're watching. One other thing that you guys need to be careful too, especially as young ministry, if you're just starting out, is that it's very easy for us to look up to others as our example, right? Me, Sir Trent, Sir Go, Ma'am Ellie, all of these are great examples of, how to act, how to behave. I mean, for the most part, I think we do a pretty good job. But the interesting thing is while you are looking up to us, there's a generation coming up behind you that is looking up to you. We have to make sure that what we're doing is we are carrying a good, sound Christian character for the next generation to be able to follow and exemplify. It's important that we keep this going. It's not just about those that are older than us or those that have gone before us. It's important that you and I together learn that we have to make sure that the generations coming behind us know what we believe, what we teach, how we act, how we behave, how we show Christian character, our fruits of the Spirit. Y'all, it's critical. It's critical. They're only going to learn them from you and I. Your friends, neighbors, and family, they're all paying attention. They're watching how you respond to frustration. They're watching how you respond to things that are irritating, people that are irritating. They're watching you. So it is important that no matter what, we are always showing them Jesus. How does Jesus react? How does Jesus respond? What would Jesus have me to say? I will give you a final little example as we wrap this up. I hope this lesson has been helpful for some of you, if not all of you. I know that I really felt a lot of this very strongly when I was studying. So a friend of mine once wrote a post on Facebook, and at the time she was in a exercise habit, and she was walking in the mornings, and she would take off like walking around. Here in the US, we have like city blocks that we can walk around, and she was keeping track of that. When she started her walk one morning, she noticed that in her tennis shoe, her rubber shoe, was a tiny little pebble. And it was teeny tiny. I mean, she could barely even feel it. It wasn't really that big of a deal. And she's like, well, I'm only going to walk like, 20 minutes today. So I'm not going to stop and take the time to fix this. I'm just going to do my walk and be done with it. Well, by the time she ends her walk in 20 minutes, her foot is throbbing. It is killing her. It has hurt so bad. That teeny tiny little pebble, when she took her shoe off, it caused this huge blister, this huge wound on the bottom of her foot. And she got a thought from the Lord that said, if we don't take care of the little things, eventually those little things, when you apply extreme pressure or extended pressure, it is going to cause a major problem in our life. So I'm encouraging you today, if there is a minor irritation, frustration, even if it's a big one, make sure that you're taking care of it. Get the pebble, get the little stone, get that little rock out of your shoe, get it out of your heart, get it out of your mind. Just get it out and take care of it right now before it becomes something that is too hard for you to manage without more help. Okay? All right, you guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I will be seeing you tomorrow live, not recorded, so I'm looking forward to that. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for letting me share my heart with you and me being able to record this like I do. I know it's not preaching, but I feel like talking to you even in this way, I'm hoping that I'm connecting with you in a way that you can receive what God has for you today and God has for us in this lesson. I appreciate y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day once again, and see you next time.